So I've always had this need that I really needed to talk about. It's really just been bugging the crap out of me, where it's basically just the fact that we are so ridiculously over polarized, and right there, boom. So I said that, right? Did I say something real? Did I say something truthful? Oh, we're so over polarized. Well, are we polarized? Any statement. Oh, if only the Democrats would. Oh, if only the Republicans could. If only blah. There's all these statements that are made on such a daily basis. Think about how we've acted before technology in the past. Nobody anymore has to memorize the Iliad and repeat it to get it correct. We can simply press save and we've gotten a thing and we're making a thing. Originally, they're saying originally even to itself is a problem. Oh my god, this is the rat hole that we're running down. Okay, today, where we have a lot of information, most everybody has access to that information. What did I search the other day? I searched for a beanbag the other day because I had to sell one at a yard sale, and I wanted to remember how much it cost me when I bought it originally. Googled it, found it, cool, sold it, 2 seconds on the internet, and I found a value, right? To this day, still, I'm getting advertising that's beanbag advertising, beanbag this, beanbag that, and it was just one-time search, like half a second. It was not a big part of my life. It's over now, but it's not over. It won't go away. Rock music or pop culture talk shows, or everybody that reads US Weekly or People Weekly or Popular Mechanics, it doesn't matter. You start to orient yourself around these things, and that funneling just happens greater and greater. Then we start to get into normal conversation being the day-to-day stuff that we talk about. And when somebody says to me, they're like, this is the best dog. It's probably a pretty good dog. People like dogs, for the most part. But is it the best dog? Now, it's a saying, and it's just a saying, and that's all that it is. But it starts to be part of our culture now. This has started to be, our way of thinking is just, this is the thing that I like, and I'm going to keep doing that thing. Or this is the thing that I like to be around, and so I'm going to be around that thing, or I'm going to consume that thing. This can go down to religion. I mean, it's something that, the way that you've thought about a thing for a long time becomes part of who you are. In my eyes, this is against the scientific method of life, really. I went to a Christian school when I grew up, okay? So does that make me a Christian right now? That's irrelevant. Should it? I went to a Christian school. Should I be a Christian? Because I grew up Christian. Jewish, Muslim, atheist, it doesn't matter. So let's say you see a court case, and that court case has a person, convicted of a petty crime, theft, okay? And it's a really pretty low-level theft, and the defense says that, this person grew up in a very poor community and had an abusive father, and he's been diagnosed with X, Y, and Z, and this is our defense to say, well, he made a mistake and give him a shorter sentence. Just reading the article, just reading the discussion, just watching the news on it, one might be oriented to say, well, it's not as much of his fault or her fault because of the environment that they grew up with, because that's what they were exposed to. Now, we do that kind of instinctively, even though we probably would never actually say it. Like, no, I wouldn't just let that go. But would you? Would the data say yes? Ooh, here we go. So here it is. Oh god, this is why my brain hurts so bad. So the data. It's all about the data. It's all about the data. Because I can't just sit here and I can't just say, well, we got to let everybody off a little bit easier when they had a bad childhood. That might be true on some levels. But is it always true? How much of the data supports it? In the modern world, we have access to a lot of data, and a lot of that data can be used for arguments. I feel a little bit special in the fact that I feel like I have been exposed to very rural living, isolation, a higher class people, if you will, as well as city relationships, a military career, and then a career outside of that. Combined, I feel like that I've been exposed to everything from rednecks to city folk, Democrats to Republicans, and WoW players or whatever. So a little bit of everything. Everything that we get exposed to has to be taken with a grain of salt. Everything. Down to the science and data itself has to be taken with a grain of salt. This is why it gets really hard really, really fast just to do normal conversation. I am a huge information junkie. I'm just information everywhere as much as I can get. But I'm an information junkie in the fact that I just want to learn. And I want to learn everything. I just want to keep learning. Not even that smart of a guy. There's too much information. From coding to farming to engineering and design, there's so much stuff. And I think that we're almost a little bit expecting everybody to be knowledgeable in all the areas. There's these generalizations that get made very, very quickly. Potentially because there's so much information out there. To me, using the scientific method, identify all the major religions that you care about. Research them. See what you agree on. Get a freaking Excel spreadsheet, pros, cons, likes, dislikes, maybes, kind of, sort of, believes this, don't believes that. Now read all of their religious textbooks and base all of your decisions on a logical approach that says, well, I think this is a bit extreme, and I think this is, a bit too much, and I think this is nice, and I don't think this is great, and whittle it down from there and identify yourself as whatever. To me, that's the most logical approach to a person to be religious. Any religion, should you choose. Choosing one side over the other, choosing this list has more pros than cons than any of your other lists, go with that list. Eliminating your own preconceived ideas and understandings and what you think is an understanding of a religion. I would be surprised if most people kept their current religion. And something that's not like a BuzzFeed quiz or something that's real. And see what you come up with. And I would be surprised if most people landed on the same thing that they currently believe. If you're going to choose a thing to believe, to say is absolutely true, and you're willing literally to base your life on it, I don't think that most people that are particularly religious, I don't think that they do know enough about all of them. But the religious rants off. The point is that we have a lot of things in our lives that are the same idea, the same concept. Religion is just one facet. And we need to identify all of these different things that we're strongly oriented with and realize that not all of them we know a lot about. What do you actually know about the immigration policy? I don't know all of it. I mean, that's a complicated thing. I'm not an immigration policy specialist. So then you have to break it down and see what information has been said regarding that thing. You should be looking for the experts in that field and play a little bit of a game of telephone. Essentially, they're interpreting the results, they're writing the results down, then you're interpreting their results, and then you're going with that. There's a process there that's lost a little bit. You need to realize that you can't simply know everything about the topic that you're choosing. And so that itself is a problem. A lot of this boils down to simply being open-minded. One of the greatest things is you can invest in. It's a personal investment, but it's something that I've worked on for years, and I've realized the benefits of. I simply don't take anything at face value, to the point where it gets troublesome sometimes. But I refuse to. I don't take anything at face value. I believe that's a quality that most people should take. That statement being unscientifically backed, of course. But that right there just makes every conversation so much more difficult. That's the beauty of argument. Somebody could argue anything. So, my opinion based on open-mindedness could be easily argued by 1,000 people to say, well, no, because of this, this, and this. We can identify pros and cons, and we can do all of that stuff. But really, it's complicated. And we need to recognize that the complexity of the thing is kind of the beautiful part. To claim knowledge where you don't actually have knowledge is an atrocity in itself. And most people frequently that I see would say, oh, I have knowledge on that thing, that's why I have an opinion on it. Do you? I mean, what is your knowledge based off of? Well, I watch CNN, so I know everything that's going on with our police force, and I see it as our police force is killing unarmed Americans all the time, and it's terrible. And that might be what you hear on the radio. That might be what your friends talk about. That might be your exposure. But to say that you know that that's what's going on without having researched it is tough to me. It's tough to say, did you search for data that was against your opinion to counter your own argument. To be firm in your own belief seems to be the popular thing to do. Have you ever researched what they say about a flat Earth? I have. I just thought it was interesting. Why would somebody even say that the Earth is still flat? I mean, that's crazy. And it turns out that there's some pretty interesting arguments to say that the Earth is flat. Now, they fall apart on a few sides, which makes it kind of the obvious part. But the fact is, like, somebody who's vehemently like, oh, you idiot, how could you think the Earth is flat? You're such a fool. Have you done any research that says anything to support their claims? Now, it seems ridiculous, and I know a lot of you are like, this guy is nuts, but it's not ridiculous. Truthfully, you need to question everything that you believe. Everything. Absolutely every bit of it. They have God, the Nazis had a policy that they thought that the Earth was inside of a sphere, and they actually sent a missile to space that they thought would show up in another country on the other side of the sphere. It's crazy. The data, look at the way to support your argument and anything that you possibly can. I think a job that people need to pick up more is to question themselves, to question their beliefs, to question literally everything. I have my own beliefs in some things, but they're not unshakable. You just have to question your understanding of the world, not even your beliefs, but your understanding, because your beliefs are based off of your understanding of the world. So the flaw is really identified as your understanding of the world. And that's kind of what I want to do. So basically what I've been doing here is I've been just kind of ranting for a second. I really want to make a vlog. I really want to do this way more frequently. It's hard for me to actually just stop learning and move to the teaching and discussion side. I want to make more of these videos. I want to talk about a lot of these different topics, and I want to get a little bit better at it. And particularly, I guess I'm not too afraid of messing with the issues of modern times, are currently, hot items, and maybe some items that are even taboo. I'd love to talk about money, because there's only a few people that actually want to talk about real personal money. I mean, I want to talk about abortion, immigration policy, tobacco versus marijuana versus, the war on drugs. I want to keep learning all of these things because I'm not done. I want to keep learning constantly. But maybe I'll learn something if I make a video about it, because I can force myself to research a single topic. And I won't spend, 10 minutes on the Wikipedia website for rope, because somebody said that once. And so maybe I can use my time a little bit better. So that's what I'm going to try to do. I don't have any taglines yet. I don't have a catchphrase to say at the end of a video. So I'm going to have to work on that. All right. Maybe I'll get some comments to make some recommendations on that. Hopefully my comments aren't loaded with just hate mail and stuff. But that's cool. I guess I understand what happens on the internet. It's weird. We like to be just trolls. That's what happens. All right, guys. Thanks for watching, and talk to you later.